Affiliated to this paper, I need freedom for my family line. Draw my life design up like fine art. I'm jumping off just an unfamiliar coordinate. Topped off the porch like I could touch the sky. Red as not one shred. The ism talk the water out your faucet. Look at me flossing. I'm so wavy, I could change the tide. My intuition sense the hatred in your ways. You imitated, forging lines, claim meaning means that's just to justify. Yeah, right. West side, born maritime. Creole baby, my bloodline. My lungs clouded, my thoughts crowded. Say all I see is these dollar signs. Finna make a play and that sound delay. On mamas, I testify. Run for it, run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing, looking for the funds. Run for it, run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing, looking for the funds. Run for it, run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing, looking for the funds. Run for it, run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing, looking for the funds. You ain't recognized game. I'm from the Bay, okay, I'm versatile and my slang's different. I'm lane switching with the same people that I came up in this thing with. My head swivel, I'm homebound, got a target back on my backside. Take a cat peeling with the cast iron, better run for it, run before I catch you. Look it out, ball it, block it, trying to stop my blessing. Gamble with your life, don't bet it, don't bet it. They can't stop my blessing, you do best not to test it. Yeah, you right, real all in my blood supply. To get ball up top, finna make a play. I cast a lob like I'm Jalen, baby. No co-signer, no co-pilot. They pen pals, my flow designer. My brain signal out of range with it. My palm mission is a dollar sign. If I say it twice, then I meant it right.
My brain signal out of range with it. My palm mission is a dollar sign. You know, co-signer, no co-pilot. They pen pals, my flow designer. My brain signal out of range with it. My palm mission is a dollar sign.
Run for it, run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing, looking for the funds. Run for it, run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing, looking for the funds. Run for it, run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing, looking for the funds. Run for it, run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing, looking for the funds.
Yo, what up, y'all? It's your boy Rob coming back at you once again with another live stream. So before we get started, you already know what to do. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the bell icon twice. Smash the like button, share this video out to all of your followers, and let's Get it cracking. All right. So shout out to everybody who is in the building early. It is good to see each and every one of you. If you can hear me okay and everything looks and sounds good, please give me a thumbs up or a radiation emoji in the chat. If you cannot hear me or things are looking and sounding bad, please give me a thumbs down or an angry face. While you guys are doing that, I'm going to shout out everybody who is in the building early. All right. Shout out to my man, AB Promotions. What's good with it, bro? Shout out to my man, John Guillory. Shout out to Alonda. And shout out to those who hath not yet saideth anything. All right. Shout out to all y'all, man. We're going to talk about some things today. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff today. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff today. You know what I'm saying? We're going to talk about ancient Bitcoin. Yeah, that's right. Shout out to my man, AB Promotions. We're going to talk about ancient Bitcoin. You know what I'm saying? That Bitcoin that be like this. Yeah, that's right. Ancient Bitcoin of evil, transform this decayed fiat to value. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we're going to talk about that. But first, man, we're going to talk about my man right here. You know what I'm saying? We're going to talk about my man right here, man. Shout out to Rajat Soni, CFA, Certified Financial Analyst. Man, my man be dropping some dope YouTube Bitcoin videos, dropping truth bombs over Baghdad. You know what I'm saying? Dropping them truth bombs over Baghdad. Shout out to my man AW1. What's good with it? Let me ask y'all a question. Do y'all agree with Rajat Soni? Rajat says, too many people focus on the things they can't control. For example, politics and news. If you send them Bitcoin-related content, they don't have time for it. Oh, facts. If that's facts, give me a thumbs up. If it's not facts and that's a lie, somebody please show me where the lie is at. All right. My man dropped some more jewels. He said, most people will spend hours each day rotting their brains with celebrity news. Man, who he talking about? But they fall asleep as soon as they see some educational content about money. And as precise and accurate as this fella is, he forgot one thing. And be hollering that they broke. Right? He forgot to put that part in there. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to AW1. All right, bro, you get you some rest, man. Get you some rest. Good to see you in here, though. Now, we got some truth bombs about Bitcoin. All right? We got some truth bombs about Bitcoin. You ready? Here they go. Since June 18th of 2015, Bitcoin has returned 42,716.7%. The NASDAQ composite has returned 284.1. The S&P 500 has returned 184.7. And the XAU US dollar has returned 124.1. Now, let me ask you guys the very simple question. Which of these is the superior asset? Somebody let me know. We're going to read this again. Since June 18th of 2015, Bitcoin has returned 42,716.7%. The NASDAQ composite has returned 284.1%. The S&P 500 has returned 184.7%, and the XAU US dollar has returned 124.1%. Shout out to my man AB Promotions. Bitcoin. If you guys agree with AB Promotions, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. And if you disagree, please let me know what type of math you working with. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my man AB Promotions again. We was talking about this, texting back and forth about it. Shout out to AB. AB asked the question in the Discord. Hey, man, listen, we gotta ask y'all this question, man. Hey, who out here buying Ethereum? Who's out here buying Ethereum? We're going to talk about that. Shout out to my man AB. I think my man AB just copped some Ethereum. I copped some Ethereum. You know what I'm saying? Bitcoin dipped below $108,000 again, and $100 million disappeared in an hour. The CMC altcoin index is down at 19. Meme coins are bleeding red. Now, let me ask you guys this question. What are some good meme coins to take a look at right now? Let me know in the chat. But Ethereum whales just went on a shopping spree. So what's really driving this market confusion? Let's break down today's top crypto stories. Whale wallets just added over 871,000 Ethereum in a single day. Whale wallets just added over 871,000 Ethereum in a single day. The biggest buying spree we've seen all year. But when did this massive accumulation actually begin? Pepe crashed 8.2. Shout out to AB. Pepe, facts. One of the reasons why? It's deflationary. It's deflationary. You know what I'm saying? Pepe crashed 8.2%. Floki dropped 5.8%. And Dog Whip Hat tumbled 8.5% as geopolitical tensions sent traders fleeing. But how is Bitcoin standing strong against this global chaos? We're going to get into that. And in this live stream, we're going to draw out the pathway that's going to take us to a $1 million Bitcoin. Okay. The Bitcoin power curve cycle cloud model is projecting a potential $200,000 peak by late 2025. But how accurate has this model been in the past? Avalanche just hit 1 million daily transactions for the first time in over a year. Avalanche is at a good price also. I remember Avalanche was at about $45 for like 3 years. And I sat there and watched it and sat there and watched it and sat there and watched it and sat there and watched it. As soon as it started to fall, I started buying it. You know what I'm saying? Avalanche can be staked. People going to have to start staking assets. You know what I'm saying? And one of the reasons why people are going to have to start staking assets is because, like we said before, jobs will be extinct very soon. How many people have heard what Walmart is doing? If you've heard what Walmart is doing, give me a thumbs up. If you have not, then give me a thumbs down. Major retailer expands drone delivery service into 2 Florida cities. Now, critical thinking, right? Critical thinking. If Walmart is using drones, what's that going to do for delivery drivers? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat what's about to happen to delivery drivers in these 2 Florida cities. And trust me, I got mad articles about more jobs being eliminated. I just don't have time to deal with them all. And you know, people don't come out unless you do unless I do undocumented. So you know what I'm saying? You know, your boy gotta grow the channel a little bit, gotta tell the truth about the audience. You know what I'm saying? You know, they drop off because you know people don't like hearing the truth about themselves. But that's just what it is. That's just the facts. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, shout out to John Guillory. If you guys agree with John Guillory, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. So now I want you guys to understand this, right? There is the Bitcoin programmed in difficulty adjustment, right? The Bitcoin programmed in difficulty adjustment makes it more difficult to produce a Bitcoin reward per transaction, right? The parallel organic difficulty adjustment means that it makes it more difficult to be able to purchase Bitcoin because of macroeconomic factors, inflation, and decreasing dollar value. So when the Bitcoin difficulty adjusts, you have to adjust your difficulty to keep pace with your Bitcoin purchase. All right. It's going to be increasingly difficult to buy Bitcoin, for one, if Bitcoin is $1 million, and for two, if you ain't got no job, Craig. You know what I'm saying? If you ain't got no job, you ain't going to buy no Bitcoin. Walmart's expansion of its drone delivery service has expanded to 2 Florida cities, Tampa and Orlando. The company is the first retailer to scale drone delivery across 5 states: Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, and Texas, according to a news release. All right. Now, again, my question to you guys is, these delivery drivers, what are they planning to do to deal with the fact that their job is about to be extinct? What are they doing to deal with that? What are they doing to supplement their income? As we look ahead, drone delivery will remain a key part of our commitment to redefining retail. We're pushing the boundaries of convenience to, quote unquote, better serve our customers. Anytime they say to better serve our customers, what they actually mean is to better serve our bottom line and to better serve our shareholders. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Making shopping faster and easier than before. We're going to make it extremely easy for you to spend money, and we're going to make it increasingly difficult for you to produce money. Okay? Greg Cathy, Senior Vice President of Walmart U.S. Transformation and Innovation, said, "This expansion of our drone delivery service marks a significant milestone in that journey. And it also marks a significant milestone in the AI and automation elimination of major job classes." Okay. Shout out to John Guillory. John Guillory said pretty much, yeah, facts. Shout out to AB. AB says, "I buy Bitcoin." Listen, what do BlackRock tell their investors to do in order to hedge against uncertainty? It sounds to me like there's a lot of uncertainty when it comes to people's jobs. Is there a lot of uncertainty when it comes to people's jobs on the horizon? The new drone service will launch at 100 stores, building on the existing operations in Northwest Arkansas and the Dallas-Fort Worth area, through an agreement with drone provider Wing. All right. Wing operates within FAA guidelines, flying their drones up to a 6-mile aircraft range from the store. This is real drone delivery at scale, Adam Woodworth, CEO of Wing, said. People all around the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex have made drone delivery part of their normal shopping habits over the past year. So again, they're working on behavior changes, right? If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. They're working on behavior changes. What they're doing is they're rolling this out slow so people are used to receiving their packages from drones. Once people are used to receiving packages from drones, that's when we'll start making the cuts. We need to make these cuts in the workforce, okay? Now we're excited to share this ultra-fast delivery experience with millions more people across many more U.S. cities, okay? Customers in Atlanta, Charlotte, Houston, Orlando, and Tampa can sign up on Wing's website to be notified when drone delivery becomes available in their area by visiting wing.com/Walmart. Since launching drone delivery in 2021, Walmart has completed more than 150,000 deliveries within 30 minutes or less, the company said. Now, let me ask you this question. When you hear about this company called Wing, what's the first thing that you do? Oh my God, they taking our jobs. Now, let me ask you guys this question. Will anti-ICE protests stop these drones from taking anybody's jobs? Can Donald Trump send these drones to El Salvador? They can send these drones wherever they want to, but if the U.S. government's sending drones somewhere, they're probably going to have weapons attached to them, right? Not Walmart packages. So my question is, what are people going to do about the drones? One day you're going to look outside and you're going to see a whole fleet of drones. It's going to look like a swarm of bees dropping off packages all over the place, possibly picking people up. You know what I'm saying? You know, the drones will be flying around there, see somebody committing a crime, swoop down and scoop up the person committing the crime and take them somewhere. When I hear about this, the first thing I think of is I want to look into this company called Wing. And I want to see how I can invest in Wing so that my future investment in Wing will pay me the money that it was paying a person whose job they eliminate. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. So you know what that means. It's time for us to do some research on Wing. It's time for us to see if Wing is publicly traded. Time to see where we can buy some Wing. Time to take a look at their future plans and future contracts. Okay? Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at what's been going on in Asia. What's been going on in Asia is that people in Asia are starting to realize that the US dollar is a scam. Yeah. Asia's dollar hedging seen boosting regional currencies. Investor diversification away from greenback assets, fresh factor behind strength. Now, let me ask you guys this. How much have we heard about people moving away from the US dollar? I want to ask you guys this question. Have you heard content about people moving away from or out of Bitcoin? That's my question. Now, here's the next question. Have you seen or heard content about people moving away from the dollar? Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Make sure y'all throw some mod enforcers in the chat for Brooklyn Queen for enforcing the engagement. Definitely appreciate it. Has anybody tell me the massive amounts of people who are moving out of Bitcoin and tell me the massive amounts of people who are moving into the dollar? Is there anyone that can do that? And that's an ongoing thing. You know what I'm saying? That's out there, right? That's out there. So, if anybody can show where that is at, we welcome it. Asian insurers and other businesses have been helping strengthen Asian currencies in recent months by buying more protection against US dollar weakness. Why are people buying protection against US dollar weakness? Why? Nobody nobody got the answers. These investors who have large holdings of US bonds and other securities had little urgency to hedge when the dollar was strong, but they are now increasing their hedge ratios to protect against a fall in the greenback. Where's this all going? Where's this all going? This typically involves selling the dollar for local currencies, which appreciate the latter's value. Okay. The Taiwanese dollar surprise rally in early May serves as a reminder to those hoarding US dollars to manage their exposure, said Christopher Wong, a Forex strategist in OCBC in Singapore. So let me ask you this, right? Because this ties into the Bitcoin strategic. This goes into the Bitcoin strategic reserve conversation, right? Shout out to Alonzo. What's good with it, bro? Shout out to AB. I ain't mad at it, bro. I ain't mad at it. I gotta talk. I gotta talk my stuff, man. I gotta talk my stuff. You know what I'm saying? So what's up with the US dollars, man? People about to lose their jobs and they about to lose their money. What's up with it? We believe Asian currencies can continue to appreciate so long as the US dollar softness persists, owing to US-centric risks and global growth outside the US still holds up. So now let me ask you this. Is this one of the reasons why BlackRock came out with the memorandum for its clients about Bitcoin allocation? Is this why? East Asian currencies have notched noticeable gains. Those of Taiwan, Japan, and South Korea have appreciated between 8% and 11% this year. Last month, a Taiwanese media reported that the U.S. would demand a stronger Taiwan dollar in a trade deal, prompted the island's cash-rich corporations to convert their dollar hoardings and life insurance companies to increase hedge ratios. Taiwanese authorities denied such a trade deal. Okay. The Taiwan dollar surged near a record 10% in 2 business days in early May, underscoring a broader diversification away from the U.S. and highlighting Asia's large dollar assets. Okay. Shout out to my man, Win Loser Rug. What's good with you, bro? So again, what is this? What is this saying? What is this saying? Taiwan's holding of U.S. stocks and U.S. bonds are equivalent to more than 90% of its gross domestic product, followed by Japan at around 60%, Australia and South Korea, both with holding exceeding 30%, according to Bank of America Global Research. The diversification away from U.S. dollar will be a key theme that continues to drive most Asian currency markets over the coming months. What does that mean for the U.S. dollar? I want you how many times have you guys seen people complaining about prices all over the internet? This is why the prices are the way that they are. Gek Teng Ku, a strategist at Morgan Stanley, said in a report, he said he expects Asian currencies, excluding the Japanese yen, to appreciate by up to another 3% over the next 12 months. Okay. Look at this. Look at these appreciations against the dollar. You see where the US dollar index is? -5. Look at all of these Asian currencies. Okay. Currency hedging aims to protect assets from fluctuations in exchange rates. Hedging costs are influenced by short-term interest rate differentials between currencies. The U.S. federal fund target rate remains between 4.25 and 4.5%. This is higher than South Korea's 2.5% interest rate, Taiwan's 2%, and Japanese 0.5%. Rate differentials between the U.S. and Asia mean hedging costs remain high. Okay. Now, let me ask you guys this question. Who else is de-dollarizing? It's not just Asia. It's not just Asia. When you hear about all of these companies buying assets other than the United States dollar, that's them de-dollarizing. When you hear about the United States with a plan to buy 1 million Bitcoin, that's the United States de-dollarizing. Shout out to Win Loser Rug. Win Loser Rug says South America also. Yeah. The Middle East as well. Right? While Taiwanese life insurers have some flexibility to maneuver their hedging ratios within their mandates, broader changes don't happen over a week or so, said Chidu Narayan, head of macro strategy for Asia Pacific at Wells Fargo in Singapore. But it is another factor that will be very important to watch going forward, especially in Northeast Asia foreign exchange. While no other country comes close to Taiwan's scale of U.S. assets, Japan, Australia, South Korea also have meaningful holdings, said Bank of America security strategist in a report. Portfolio hedge ratio dynamics will be key for these countries, although they are unlikely to lead the kind of disorderly forex adjustment to be observed in the Taiwanese dollar. Okay. Japan is the largest overseas holder of U.S. treasuries with 1.1 trillion as of March. Japanese life insurance companies are major holders of U.S. debt. Currency hedge ratios at large, Japanese insurers are at a historically low level of around 30%, said Kinta Tadade, chief foreign exchange strategist at Daiwa Securities in a note. So again, I want to ask you guys this question. How much content? Shout out to my man Carlton Way. What's good with it, bro? How much content are you seeing about people running to get out of Bitcoin versus content where you see people running to get into the dollar? Where is it? Where is this content at? The yen's appreciation to 140 to the dollar could prompt exporters to hedge their exposure while causing life insurance companies to buy U.S. assets, the Bank of America security strategist said. The yen traded in the mid 145 level as of Friday. Hedging costs using currency forwards, which lock in future exchange rates, remain stubbornly high for Japanese investors, said an official from an international bank in Japan. This has led investors to prefer currency option-based hedging, which gives investors the alternative to use a set exchange rate in the future, the official said. Exporters' conversion of their dollar-based export proceeds into local currency would help strengthen Asian currencies, Morgan Stanley's Koo said. Onshore foreign currency deposits in Asia's emerging market economies have increased across the board over the past 3 years, Koo said. He added that Thailand's foreign currency deposits have doubled over the past 3 years, followed by Malaysia and the Philippines. Most emerging markets in Asian investment are expected to reallocate their dollar investments into other large liquid markets like Japan rather than repatriate to local markets. Why are people reallocating their dollar holdings? Yeah, facts. Shout out to Win Lose a Rug. Win Lose a Rug said Japan bought up the U.S. in the 80s. They own huge amounts of real estate all throughout the country. Yeah, facts. So does China. There was there's a video, and I might actually show it because I got a little bit of time. So I guess now would actually be a decent time to show it, right? But there's a video that talks about I want to say like a $60,000 purchase that took place, if I'm not mistaken, in New Hampshire. Yeah, in New Hampshire. We'll take a look at that. All right. Shout out to Win Lose a Rug. Win Lose a Rug said Japan de-dollarizing is like calling it old news at this point. Here's my question. Shout out to everybody. What is everyone's de-dollarization escape plan? That's my question. What does everybody plan on doing? We're going to talk about de-dollarization escape plans, right? We already know what people are doing to deal with this situation. We're going to talk about it even more. We're going to watch it as it plays out, okay? Shout out to everybody watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed the like button yet, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell, and also please share the stream to your social media. Now, let me ask you this question. If people don't prepare for the financial calamity that is on the horizon, here's my question. What is the expected result? Let me know in the chat what the expected result is. While structural diversification away from the U.S. is already in motion, the pace of change is expected to be gradual. Again, what does that mean? What does that entail? What is that indicative of? It's very hard to find an immediate alternative for the entirety of their dollar exposure, so we don't see dramatic reductions happening. Wells Fargo's Narayanan said. That said, we expect a slow reduction of overweight U.S. dollar investment positions. What does that mean for the U.S. dollar, folks? What's that mean for the U.S. dollar, ladies and gentlemen? Shout out to Win Lose a Rug. Facts. They deserve extinction. They deserve extinction. They deserve oblivion. Now, let's talk about some of these Asian purchases. Shout out to AB. Purge. Facts. Let's talk about some of these Asian purchases that are going on. U.S. assets being bought up. Let me ask you guys this question. How much in U.S. assets does the U.S. actually own? That's the question.
The Chinese buying American farmland in sites near American military bases. Now a Chinese businessman is trying to buy part of.
Why would they look? I want you guys I want you guys to where's the videos talking about Chinese people buying up all this land? Now you know, if you're gonna hit the quote unquote undocumented issue, I would say hit the undocumented issue in its entirety, right? Let me ask you guys a question. What kind of undocumented are more dangerous? Mindless protesters in the street waving arbitrary Mexican flags, or Chinese nationals buying land right next to U.S. military installments? Let me know in the chat.
You've heard about the Chinese buying American farmland in sites near American military bases. Now a Chinese businessman is trying to buy part of America's water supply and overpaying by multiples. It's true.
Hey, they playing the end game. They're playing the end game. They trying to buy the water supply. They're trying to buy the water supply. Let me ask you guys this question. How comfortable do you feel with a Chinese acquisition of a major American water supply? If you feel comfortable with that, give me a thumbs up. If you do not feel comfortable with that and you think that that should probably be addressed more than the No Kings protest, give me a thumbs down.
And it's happening in Nashua, New Hampshire. This is just another in line of many bad acts by the Chinese government, threatening to invade Taiwan, the COVID cover-up, aggressively spying, a massive military buildup paid for by American taxpayers, sending a spy balloon over the U.S. mainland, stealing American military technology. News Nation's senior national correspondent Brian Enton is investigating in New Hampshire.
Nashua, New Hampshire, once a hub for textile manufacturing, now a possible hub for the Chinese.
And you have the airport here. You have our water supply that they're looking to.
Again, here's my thing, right? So we can't really feel sorry for any of this, right? Because somebody sold it to them, right? If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Somebody sold it to them. So this isn't just some unfortunate circumstance that happened. You know what I'm saying? Like, they can't just use we was tricked. Somebody sold this to them, right? So there's that. Right, exactly. Shout out to Win Lose a Rug. Shout out to Alpha Male Pimp Network. What's good with you, bro? Win Lose a Rug said, how is that even possible? One of us couldn't even get that far over there. Most places, see, like, for one, okay, so there's multiple types of open borders, right? You got the open borders like the southern border in Texas, and you got people coming over there. Then there's the open economic borders, it's unrestricted purchase. You know what I'm saying? The United States will let all these foreign entities purchase up all the natural resources and then just shut it all down. I mean, that's a strategy too. You buy up the block and shut down all the trap houses, then you're the only one making crack. That's what I said Michael Saylor should do with Bitcoin. Buy up all the miners and then slow them down for a couple years. Buy up all the miners and then artificially half Bitcoin by shutting down half the miners. That'll really skyrocket the price, and it'll extend the Bitcoin production period out to maybe like 200 or 300 years. You know what I'm saying?
Capture.
Speaking of extending the Bitcoin production period, we're going to get there when we start talking about this ancient Bitcoin issue.
China owning a building like this.
The latest Chinese concern is what's going here. China's largest beverage company, called Nongfu, bought this industrial site next to the Penachuk water system where the area's drinking water comes from. Nongfu would use the local water for their beverage plant.
Now, listen, you guys, how many people have heard about the situations of how in China there's been allegations of the use of jet fuel to cook food? How many people have heard about that? If you've heard about that, give me a thumbs up. If you have not heard about that, then give me a thumbs down. Right. Shout out to Win Lose a Rug. Win Lose a Rug said the fact that Thailand owns that much of the U.S., but American citizens can't own land there. Facts. You can own a woman there. You know what I'm saying? But you can't own no land there, though. You know what I'm saying? The American passport bros is hustling backwards. The undocumented bros is coming here buying up land. Passport bros go in there buying some, you know what I'm saying? Some chocha. Shout out to AB Promotions. Facts. This is what we dealing with right here. This is what we working with.
Morons! I have morons on my payroll! Idiots! I'm surrounded by incompetent idiots!
You know what I'm saying? Like this is it right here. You know, now, this is why I'm bringing this up about this jet fuel issue. The Chinese manufacturing companies allegedly have very poor quality standards, and they're not really good. I don't know if it's intentionally or if there's some type of system issue with proper disposal of waste. I don't know if it's in the best interest to have a company that comes from that utilizing an American drinking water supply. I don't, me personally, I wouldn't do that. I'd be like, nah, you got to go somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? But apparently they think that it's okay. Now, we already have a water shortage. If you guys don't know about the water shortage, check out the videos on the channel about the water wars, right? It's already a water shortage going on. This is the last thing that we need. But I'm telling you, water is about to be valuable just like Bitcoin.
Being tied into our Penachuk water system and taking millions of gallons a day of drinking water from the citizens of Nashua is very concerning.
What locals find most suspicious is what Nung Fu paid for the site, $67 million, more than 4 times the assessed value of just $15 million.
What that means is that they really wanted that, what they wanted so bad for. And now this is what I'm saying. Somebody waved the money in front of their face and they sold. So this isn't like, this is people being sold out. This isn't some mystery. We don't know what happened. Here's how it happened. Somebody said, here goes 67 million. And somebody said, bet, I'm out the game. That's what happened. That's what happened. We see this happens every day.
Plant.
Being tied into our Penachuk water system and taking millions of gallons a day of drinking water from the citizens of Nashua is very concerning.
What locals find most suspicious is what Nung Fu paid for the site, $67 million, more than 4 times the assessed value of just $15 million.
Were there any public meetings or was there any like sort of outreach? Did anyone know what was happening?
No, not at all. This seems to be kind of like the color of this building. This was done very stealthy.
He said it was done very stealthy. You know what I'm saying? He said it was done very swarthy. Why was this allowed? Hey.
So this is the massive site that Nung Fu bought. The building is pretty much abandoned. We can't fly the drone because it's so close to the airport, but I'm going to drive around the building to show you just how big it is. It's 337,000 square feet, sitting on 23 acres of land, and it's very close to the Nashua Airport, several defense contractors, and an FAA control center.
I had no idea, so I did some research both in English and Mandarin Chinese, which is my first language.
Hey, she was scared to say that. You see how she hit him with the stutter, 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 stutter.
I had no idea. So I did some research both in English and Mandarin Chinese, which is my first language.
She just realized she just self-snitched. That's what happened when you realize you self-snitched. You pause like that. Pause.
And I was just shocked.
Lily Tang Williams fled Chinese communism and is now running for Congress in New Hampshire.
If you were in China speaking out like this, you would
I disappear.
You would disappear.
Of course, I'm afraid if I go back, they let me go in and they don't let me come out. I disappear, but they want me to shut up.
Williams says they want her to shut up about the Chinese soft power invasion and the national security concerns of.
Hey, if they bought that, listen, if they bought that plant, lady, you better be careful. They're going to mess around and make you disappear right here in the United States.
Projects like Nungfu.
What is China trying to do when they buy up all of this land around America?
So I have been trying to warn people, Xi Jinping has a China dream. And his China dream is to use soft power invasion of the United States.
Soft power invasion.
Soft power invasion, business and education, apps like TikTok, WeChat.
Do you hear what this lady's saying? Oh, yeah, a drone would definitely take her out if she was back home. A drone definitely taking that ass out if she was back at home. But listen, hey, it is what it is, man. If that's what China's trying to do, that's what China's trying to do. All right, so deal with it then. It's not like, oh, it's not fair, none of that. Ain't none of that. It's not fair. If there's a strategy and people are making a strategy against you, you deal with it. You deal with it by recognizing that and saying, nah, I'm not going to sell you my assets. Shout out to Alpha Male Pimp Network. Alpha Male Pimp Network says her voice sounds like Daisy Chin, Walter Weeks' baby mama from Fresh and Fit. That's because they both Chinese, you know what I'm saying? And they're actually Chinese. It's not just me calling random Asian people, you know what I'm saying, Chinese. Like these are two actual Chinese people. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I mean, so again, I don't understand why this isn't. I do understand why it's not a bigger topic, but hey, it is what it is. Shout out to Carlton. Yeah, Carlton said they have Chinese spies working in the American government. Facts. We got spies all over the world. How many people seen that TV show called The Americans that used to come on FX back in the day? This is what she's talking about. If people was actually on it, this is what people need to be doing. It shouldn't have been China buying that up. You know what I'm saying? Should have been us. Should have been Blacklight Industrial. I can't get liquid though. You know what I'm saying? I can't get liquid. It's YouTubers that make enough money to buy that plant. I can't get liquid though. Anytime somebody say something crazy, I'll just make a video of me walking outside, pissing in that drinking water. Stop talking crazy. Before I piss in it while I'm sick. But that's the difference between a villain and a civilian. That's the difference.
Around America.
So I have been trying to warn people, Xi Jinping has a China dream. And his China dream is to use soft power invasion of the United States.
Soft power invasion.
Soft power invasion, business and education, apps like TikTok, WeChat, and media, entertainment.
What's going on is, China is colonizing the United States. This reverse colonization. This reverse colonization, family. You know what I'm saying? Hey, deal with it, man. Deal with it. Now, here's my question. How should people deal with this? Now, if the American citizens were intelligent, to me, right, there would be a massive influx of investment into freshwater purification companies, drinking water companies, manufacturers like Glacial, Dasani. Nah, these the people that buy toilet paper when all the stores shut down. You know what I'm saying?
Everything they can without fire one shot to expand into Western countries like the United States.
The expansion in Nashua, New Hampshire goes beyond just Nungfu.
Something else strange, just a couple of miles from where we were, where the Chinese company purchased that building, is this abandoned college, Daniel Webster College. It's a 50-acre site, and it was also purchased by a Chinese investor about 7 years ago for $14 million. much of the campus.
Where are these Chinese investors getting all this money? Who are the Chinese investors that are, when they say Chinese investor, who are these people? What do the filings actually say? Who are these business entities that are buying all this land up? Who are these people? Who are these people? Where did they get all the money?
Remains totally abandoned. The mayor of Nashua tells me that Chinese investor bought the college campus for double what it was worth. And now Nung Fu has come to town, paying 4 times the appraised value. He isn't against the project, but admits it's strange.
If the land was valued at like 15 million and they paid 67 million, I guess I'm still trying.
It's very weird. Why they would do that, I have no idea.
I mean, have you heard anything?
No.
He said why they would. Hey, that old man said why they would do it. I have no idea. But I tell you what, though, me and my family about to go on a nice vacation.
It's very puzzling as to why that would happen.
And so, Leland, the mayor says he doesn't have any national security concerns. He says the city will not sell the actual water company, but everyone here is wondering why that Chinese company would pay 4 times the assessed value.
See, the people are asking the wrong question. It's a dumb question to ask why somebody would pay. The actual question is why would somebody sell? This is how you know you're dealing with idiots. If someone has the money to overpay for something, what that means is that they really want it and they can afford it. So you can jack the price up to a crazy high amount and they'll say, I can pay infinite. I can pay an infinite amount of money. So whatever price that, unless there's infinite value that you see in this asset, whatever price that you can come up with, I can pay. That's what that means. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down.
Why the area near the watershed and then also the college campus? Leland?
Great reporting, Brian. It's worth pointing out in so many of these cases, the Chinese go to great lengths to disguise exactly who's buying it.
If they disguise who's buying it, how did they figure this out? There's nothing to now he's using familiar excuses. If you guys would agree, this fella here is using familiar excuses. Give me a thumbs up. If he's not, then give me a thumbs down. He's using the we was tricked. He's using the we was tricked.
And why? So when people don't want you to know what they're doing, we send Brian Enton out there. Great work, my friend. Thank you very much.
All right, so there's that. $67 million Chinese mystery in New Hampshire. This isn't the only one. Now, let me ask you guys this question. How many of you all became millionaires in 2024? If you became a millionaire in 2024, give me a thumbs up. If you did not become a millionaire in 2024, then give me a thumbs down. Why are we asking this? Asking this because it is fact. This fact right here. America added 1,000 new millionaires every day last year. 1,000 millionaires were made every day last year. Everyday millionaires. That's what they call them. Now, how did y'all get missed? How many millionaires is that? That would be 36,500 millionaires last year that were created. If it was 1,000 every day, right? The UBS 2025 Global Wealth Report highlights the growing significance of everyday millionaires, or e-millies, right? Do you guys remember when I said millionaires are the new middle class? Millionaires are the new middle class. Better get your million. You better get your million. As bad as the economy is, the world got richer in 2024. And in the U.S., new millionaires were minted at a rate of more than 1,000 per day. Why is everybody still complaining about being broke? Huh? Somebody out here making money. Somebody is out here making money, and other people are out here losing money. Retail. Shout out to Carlton, right? Shout out to the modern investor. Retail. Retail. You know what I'm saying? The Global Wealth Report. Anybody that's interested in looking at this Global Wealth Report, I'm about to put it into the chat. I'm going to put it in the Discord too, because the chat will probably be gone after the video. What the millionaires look like that got formed? Somebody let me know what they look like. What they look like. What folks look like. Oh, man. Yeah, shout out to Carlton. Retail. Facts. Dog whistle. Shout out to Win Lose a Rug. That's a dog whistle. Retail. You know what I'm saying? Retail. That's one takeaway from the UBS 2025 Global Wealth Report, which highlights the growing significance of everyday millionaires, or E-millies, defined as individuals with between $1 million and $5 million in assets. Now, if there's a whole bunch of millionaires, that kind of decreases the significance of millionaires. If everybody's a millionaire, then nobody's rich. So billionaires are scaling down. Billionaires are now the new millionaires. Now we need trillionaires. Crypto will make the first trillionaires. This is important, which is why you see so few people watching. Right? Right? This is important. That's why you see so few people watching. You know what I'm saying? The number of these so-called E-millies has more than quadrupled. How is the wealth escaping people? I need to know the answers to this question. How is the wealth escaping people? Right? These are the questions that we got to ask. We got to ask people these questions. How is the wealth escaping people? The number of these so-called E-millies has more than quadrupled since 2000, reaching 52 million people globally and accounting for $107 trillion in total wealth. That's almost as much as the 119 trillion held by individuals worth more than $5 million. All right. USC's growth on the back of stock market gains. Now, shout out to everybody in the chat. How many people invested in Circle? If you invested in Circle, give me a thumbs up. From the IPO. Before the IPO, I told people, yo, check out this Circle IPO. Circle, if I'm not mistaken, IPO'd at $39. It's at $199 today. It's at $199 today. In all, global personal wealth rose 4.2% in 2024, outpacing the previous year's 4.2% gain. How is this happening if inflation is going up? The growth was uneven, however, with North America leading the pack. Booming financial markets drove U.S. wealth levels up more than 11%, accounting for a significant share of the total global rebound. Now, here's the thing. If this is the case, if this is the case, how are people so broke? How are people so broke if this is the case? That's unsurprising given the returns in major U.S. indexes, including a 25% gain in the S&P 500 and a 30% leap in the tech-savvy NASDAQ composite. On the other hand, with weaker stock market returns, regions like Western Europe and Latin America saw modest declines in wealth. The number of billionaires increased too. Oh, I left them out. Did anybody in the chat, shout out to the people in the chat, anybody in the chat become a billionaire? If you became a billionaire last year, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, give me a thumbs down. Pour out a little liquor for the people that didn't become billionaires. The number of billionaires worldwide also grew, but not at the same pace. Again, what is this saying? What this is saying is that the rich are getting richer. Shout out to DJ Elmo. Now, here's the question. How are the rich getting richer? I'll tell you one thing that the rich do. The rich, they read articles like Forbes. They have investors send them memorandums like BlackRock and Fidelity, and they actually read it. You know what I'm saying? And then they have their financial advisor invest in a particular way. UBS tallied almost 3,000 individuals with more than $1 billion in assets at the end of 2024, edging up slightly from the year prior. Most held between $1 billion and $49 billion, and only 31 held assets topping the $50 billion mark. I wouldn't mind any of this. I wouldn't mind qualifying in this report. Yeah, I agree. Shout out to Carlton Way. Carlton Way said they own assets. Facts. If you guys agree with Carlton, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree with Carlton, give me a thumbs down. Facts. That's what it is. They own assets. But we know that people are opposed to that. So if you're opposed to that, then you don't get to be a part of this. The report also emphasizes a long-standing truth. Wealth and income are not the same thing. While salaries influence public perceptions of prosperity, long-term wealth depends more on inheritance, market access, real estate values, and compounding capital. This is one of the reasons why when I talk about cryptocurrency, one of the things that I talk about so much is stakeable tokens. Stakeable tokens. I'm not mad at that, DJ Elmo. I'm not mad at that. This is why I shout out to that one stream, right? The stream that was called Creating a Money Printing Machine. This is what people should be doing, but they're not. That explains why some high-income nations punch below their weight in wealth terms, while others show surprising levels of private wealth relative to earning. How women will benefit from the great wealth transfer. Ladies, ladies, you know what I'm saying? Looking ahead, UBS argues that the so-called great wealth transfer, in which $83 trillion is expected to pass from older generations to their heirs over the next 20 years, may already be underway. Now, I want you guys to tell me in the chat, what does this great wealth transfer look like? We ain't talking about the Bitcoin wealth transfer. We talking about the great wealth transfer. If you ain't got nothing, you ain't passing nothing down except for STDs and bad genetics, right? If you don't have anything, the only thing you're passing down is bad genetics and STDs. So my question for people is, what does this quote unquote great wealth transfer look like? Women are expected to benefit disproportionately, especially in the US, because women tend to outlive men and stand to benefit from two significant transfers, from parents to children and from one spouse to another. It's likely that over the next few decades, women may come to control a greater and greater portion of U.S. and global wealth. A 1,000 millionaires created every day, and not one of us became a millionaire. Like Cleveland Browns fans always say, well, maybe next year. Maybe next year, right? Shout out to Carlton. Carlton said, I used to think the wealth transfer would be money going from the rich to the poor. Nah, what it is the rich transferring money into different asset classes. The poor are too stupid. You know what I'm saying? The poor are too dumb. You know what I'm saying? The poor had opportunity to benefit from the wealth transfer when Bitcoin was like $10 and they chose not to. You know what I'm saying? So now that it's at a price that only MicroStrategies and BlackRock can afford, fair market, MicroStrategies and BlackRock buying it. People about to get priced out of XRP pretty soon too. You know what I'm saying? People about to get priced out of XRP pretty soon too. That's what they get. Bitcoin price prepares for volatility as spot supply vanishes. This takes us into our ancient Bitcoin discussion. What is ancient Bitcoin? Because it's an actual thing.
Ancient spirits of evil, transform this decayed form to Mumra, the ever-living!
Villainy activated for real. You know what I'm saying? What is ancient Bitcoin? Shout out to DJ Elmo. Facts. Ancient Bitcoin is first generation Bitcoin. Why is it important? The reason why it's important is because the amount of ancient Bitcoin held is now surpassing newly minted Bitcoin, which puts another angle on the supply constraint. Ancient Bitcoin, the actual definition of it is Bitcoin that has not changed wallets in 10 years. That's the actual definition of ancient Bitcoin. Okay. Bitcoin price prepares for volatility as spot supply vanishes. Bitcoin's recent rally occurred as funding rates turned negative and Bitcoin held on exchanges and over-the-counter desks shrank. Where's it going? Where's all the Bitcoin going? Well, we'll show you very soon. It's not going to poor people. Michael Saylor said, poor people use fiat. You know what I'm saying? That includes stable coins. Bitcoin on-chain data shows a steady depletion of exchange and over-the-counter balances, pointing to long-term accumulation and tightening supply. What's that going to do to the price? Yeah, shout out to DJ Elmo. DJ Elmo said it's going to institutional investors. If that's true, give me a thumbs up. If that's not true, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to DSA. What's good with you, bro? With Bitcoin open interest near record highs and liquidity drying up, the market is tightly coiled, raising the probability of a sharp move. Sharp move which direction, ladies and gentlemen? Bitcoin price has consistently risen, even as trading volumes drop to their lowest levels since the start of 2023 and 2026. Retail investor activity is subdued, just like retail investor brains are subdued. Right. Shout out to AB Promotions. We call them poor. Facts. We call them poor. We call them peasants. You know what I'm saying? We call them underlings. And funding rates in perpetual swaps recently brushed against negative territory. It's an unusual backdrop for a price pushing towards all-time highs. Yet beneath the surface, on-chain data points to something else, a stealth accumulation phase. Now, listen, haven't we, and again, is it really stealth? Is it really stealth? It's not really stealth. I keep telling people this stuff, man. The more I tell people this stuff, the less people watch and the more whales buy. I've never seen more people that are interested in harming themselves financially. It's bizarre. It's wild. I've never seen it. But shout out to them, though, because they're working for what's coming. You know what I'm saying? They're if you guys would agree, they're working for what's coming. Give me a thumbs up. If y'all would disagree, give me a thumbs down. They're definitely working for what's coming. And what's coming is nothing nice. While the market appears calm, the supply side is quietly drying up. With Bitcoin futures open interest hovering near record highs, the market is tightly coiled, setting the stage for a perfect storm. Okay. Now, again, we've talked about this. Bitcoin held on exchanges continues to fall. People are ignoring the math. People can't. Maybe it's not that people are ignoring it. Maybe they just actually can't do it. Even as Bitcoin demand, in particular in the U.S., continues rising, the number of Bitcoin held on exchanges continues to decline. Since the beginning of 2025, balances have dropped another 14%, down to just 2.5 million Bitcoin, a level last seen in August of 2022. How is the United States going to get 1 million Bitcoin? How? Somebody explain to me how the United States is going to get 1 million Bitcoin. They're going to get 1 million Bitcoin by seizing citizens' Bitcoins. And they'll say they're doing it for the good of the country. That's how they're going to get their million Bitcoin. They're going to steal it from people, get it off the exchanges. You know what I'm saying? They are going to steal the Trump family, the Vance family. They are going to steal your Bitcoin. The same way they stole the gold. Not the Trump family, but the United States government. You know what I'm saying? Honestly, if you got a significant amount of Bitcoin, that might be reason to go somewhere like Marshall Island. You know what I'm saying? That's the real reason to become a passport, bro, is to get out of the grasps of the United States government trying to steal your Bitcoin so that they can accumulate their 1 million. Because the United Thieves of America will do what they got to do. They'll take people out. They'll take you out. People going to start mysteriously disappearing, all kind of stuff. We seen what happened to the CEO of all those different companies. Cash App CEO took him out. They'll take you out. You know what I'm saying? They put a little radiation seed in your pipe somewhere. You know, they do all kind of stuff. Trace your credit card number somehow. Your car magically malfunction. Elon Musk got everybody's information. Put you up in a Tesla. That bad boy start driving by itself. They'd do you. You know what I'm saying? They'd do you for your Bitcoin. You get a text message, oh, are you a cryptocurrency investor? Next thing you know, your Tesla driving into a brick wall. That's how the United States plans on getting their $1 million in Bitcoin. The United States has never had an issue taking people out to further financial goals. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Let me ask you guys this question. Drop evidence and names of people that the United States has taken out to further financial goals. If they've taken out these high-profile people to further financial goals, what makes you think they won't try to target anybody that doesn't even matter like us to meet their financial goals? Keep yourself safe. The same way all these other countries are hedging against the U.S. dollar, hedge against U.S. corruption. Make sure that you're safe. You know what I'm saying? This trend typically shows growing investor confidence, and long-term holding behavior. Coins are being moved into cold storage or custodial wallets, reducing the liquid supply available for sale. Large entities often withdraw Bitcoin after buying, reinforcing the view that accumulation is underway. With fewer coins readily available to dump, short-term sell pressure weakens. Okay. Now, do you guys remember we talked about the over-the-counter balances plummeting? Now, soon, there's going to be a point that comes soon where companies like MicroStrategies and companies like MetaPlanet, they're going to have to start buying their Bitcoin on exchanges because there's not going to be any in over-the-counter markets for them to buy. Okay. Over-the-counter desks, which facilitate large off-exchange trades, are also showing signs of tightening supply. While these desks usually operate by matching buyers and sellers, they still rely on holding Bitcoin reserves to enable fast and credible execution. Currently, those reserves are at historic lows. Now, you got to ask the question, how is the Bitcoin price staying the same then? How is the Bitcoin price? Why is it staying the same if these reserves are at historic lows? How is that happening? How is that possible? How are these prices being manipulated? According to CryptoQuant, OTC addresses associated with miners have seen a 19% drop in balances since January, now holding just 134,252 Bitcoin. This data aggregates inflows from over 2 distinct one-hop addresses connected to mining pools, excluding miners themselves and centralized exchange addresses. When exchange and OTC liquidity dry up, the available float shrinks dramatically. In a rising market, this dynamic can amplify price movements as demand chases an increasingly scarce asset. Okay. Funding rates slip into negative territory. In such a tight supply environment, even modest demand can move prices sharply, especially when the market is positioned the wrong way. The funding rate situation illustrates this well. Funding rates are periodic payments between long and short-term traders in perpetual futures contracts, reflecting the market's directional bias. Positive rates means longs are paying shorts, typically a sign of bullish sentiments. Negative rates indicate short dominance and often signal local corrections. Okay. However, when negative funding coincides with rising Bitcoin prices, it's a different story. It suggests that despite short traders dominating, the spot market is absorbing sell pressure, a potential sign of a strong underlying demand. Now, here's the thing. We already know that there's a strong underlying demand, right? Now, these mathematical signals and ratios are good because they help put data with the assumptions, right? But if we pay attention to the patterns, if we read the news and we watch the articles, right, then we know. Shout out to John Guillory. John Guillory said, oh, snap. Rob got the chat on the screen now. I feel like I'm on the stream with Kai Sanat. Bro, I used to have the chat on the long time ago, way back in the day. I used to have the stream. I used to have the chat on the stream long time ago, bro, when I used to use Streamlabs OBS. And then I realized that as the quality deteriorates, the viewership increases. So I scaled down the operation to StreamYards. You know what I'm saying? I used to have when I used to get a super chat, I had those. If you watch my old streams, I had the on-screen chat. I had when there was a super chat, like the little like person with like a little emoji would dance on the screen and all that. And then when I saw that there's not a demand for high quality, you know what I'm saying? I scaled everything. I scaled everything down. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to spend all this money on StreamYards, OBS, and you know what I'm saying, all that. And people, you know what I'm saying, people ain't watching the videos. People don't want it. Shit, you know what I'm saying? I'm about to do major reorganization like these companies out here, bro. Y'all about to not even see this villainy thing in the corner. I'm about to put that duck back on the corner. I'm about to put the duck back on the corner. I ain't doing all this. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the dude Rajat Sony. He makes side money, right? He makes side money giving people Bitcoin consultations. He makes side money giving people Bitcoin consultations. You know what I'm saying? Y'all got some of the best financial information on YouTube. And I can't even get 100 people in my chat. I'm not doing all that shit. I'm not doing all that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not doing all that. Shout out to my man John Guillory. Another 1,000. Hey, shout out to John. Make sure y'all show John some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emojis, some ducks in the chat for John for standing on business. John said another $1,000 membership in the books. You know what I'm saying? Hey, make sure y'all show John some love for standing on business for 25 months. I definitely appreciate you, bro.
I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business.
Yeah. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Right. Brooklyn Queen said if Robb starts screaming like that fool, he'll become a millionaire before the week's end. Yeah. Now, here go my thing with Kai Cenat. Kai Cenat is a young dude. You know what I'm saying? And he makes young content. He makes content for like young people. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, he makes his content. It's a market for his content. You know what I'm saying? And he does what he does, and he does what he does well, right? I can't compare the type of content that I do to Kai Cenat. And one of the reasons why I can't compare the content that I do to Kai Cenat is because there is no market for my content. Y'all are it. There's no market for my content. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Make sure y'all show Brooklyn Queen some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emojis, some ducks in the chat for Brooklyn Queen for funding the organization and standing on business for 22 months. Definitely appreciate you, Brooklyn Queen. Make sure y'all show Brooklyn Queen some love.
I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business.
Yeah, I'm not mad at Kai Cenat. Kai Cenat got an audience and he do what he do for his audience. I'm not mad at any YouTuber. I'm not mad at any YouTuber, right? The audiences create YouTubers. The audience creates YouTubers. You know what I'm saying? The audience creates YouTubers. There is zero market for the type of content that I produce. I don't know who that reflects badly on. You know what I'm saying? I don't know who that reflects badly on because there's a bunch of other content creators that make the type of content that I make. You know what I'm saying? So that's just food for thought, right? That's just the raw reality. That's just the raw reality. You know what I'm saying? People make content, you know what I'm saying, for their market. You know what I mean? He's a young dude. He make young people content. It's a lot of old dudes out here trying to be young. You know what I'm saying? Nas said the second childhood. Shout out to Alonda. Alonda said, "Well, you and Kai Cenat are both pro crypto." Look. Here's my thing. I wouldn't even call myself pro crypto. I'm actually just not delusional. Is what it is. That's the actual situation. There's really no such thing as pro crypto. There's a are you delusional or not? You know what I'm saying? That's really what it comes down to. Yeah, shout out to John Guillory. John Guillory said people would rather help a YouTuber get rich than actually help themselves get rich, and then say they wasn't told. Facts, which is spitting in my face. Because I've been telling people about this stuff since 2017. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you know, as far as the whole pro crypto thing goes, it's not really pro crypto. It's are you delusional or not? You know what I'm saying? It's really just that simple. You know what I'm saying? Here's the thing. You can't. There's certain things that people have no choice in the matter of. People don't have any choice in the matter of whether the world moves towards digital assets or not. I'm pro artificial intelligence too, if we want to call it that, but I call it pro reality because no one's going to stop artificial intelligence from doing what it does. You know what I'm saying? Delusional people have some type of cryptocurrency derangement syndrome. JP Morgan Chase Bank does not. MicroStrategies does not. BlackRock does not. Only broke people really seem. The only person that's got money that actually, you know, has some type of opposition to cryptocurrency, and he's not even completely opposed to it, is Peter Schiff. Peter Schiff is just opposed to Bitcoin. He thinks that Bitcoin is overvalued, but he's not opposed to the idea of cryptocurrency and digital currencies. You know what I'm saying? But Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, digital assets, that's the future. It's not a matter of being, you know, pro or not pro. Kai Cenat is a younger dude, so I would expect Kai Cenat to be, you know, more privy to future developments, right? Now, I want you guys to understand the whole old ninjas argument in 20, 30 years, that old ninja argument will be the discussion will be around who encouraged people to stay out of crypto. Now, you only gonna find maybe one or two of what them people call them folks saying to stay out of crypto. You're gonna see everybody else saying buy crypto. Now, I don't know if it's like that in this landscape over here. You know what I'm saying? But ain't nobody gonna be able to put no Michael Saylor video up on the screen and say he kept us out of cryptocurrency. Michael Saylor said buy the tops, buy the bottoms. You know what I'm saying? It's plenty of videos of Michael Saylor saying buy the tops, buy the bottoms. You know what I'm saying? It's plenty of videos of Larry Fink saying allocate 2% of your portfolio into crypto. So I'm really curious as to how that situation is going to go. But the quote unquote new ninjas are going to be the old ninjas. And that young generation going to have to deal with a locked in wealth gap. And I ain't got nothing for them. You know what I'm saying? That right there. Like, that is the crux of the discussion. Yeah, shout out to Carlton. Bro, I got a standalone video from a couple years ago on the channel about Elizabeth Warren. Shout out to Carlton. Carlton to say they'll find a way to blame Michael Saylor. Right. Now, how much Bitcoin did Michael Saylor buy up at $1, $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $100, even $1,000? How much Bitcoin did Michael Saylor buy up at those prices? Michael Saylor waited until it was $70,000 on average to buy. Right? Yeah. The only thing that's gonna get shared is videos. Ain't no money getting shared. No money is getting shared. You know what I'm saying? No money is getting shared. And it shouldn't. And again, this explains why poor people are poor and rich people are rich. It explains why. Poor people are looking for someone to save them and for someone to manage and custody their life. So that's what rich people do. Rich people say, oh, okay, you're poor and stupid. Here's some breadcrumbs to keep you afloat. And what you can do is work for me for those breadcrumbs because you're poor and dumb. You can't figure out a way to make your own way. So you can pave my way for me, and I'll pay you these breadcrumbs if I even pay you at all. I mean, that's just the reality of it. That's just the reality of it. Hey, Carlton. Shout out to Carlton. Carlton says, see, the thing is, my brother Sailor is a reptilian on Turtle Island, and he used his tricks to keep us out of crypto. Well, look, check this out. If he a reptilian, right, on an island, you know what I'm saying, on Turtle Island, because turtles are reptiles, sound like he was in the right place. Right? Sound like he was at home. And he invited people to his home. Hey, buy some Bitcoin. Nah, it's a scam. Okay. First trillionaire. You know what I'm saying? First trillionaire. I want to be alive for those discussions. I'm going to find a way to create some type of 3D printed body that I can transfer my consciousness into, or cryogenically freeze myself or something so I can wake up in the future like Demolition Man, just so I can see it. I just want to see it. I just want to see it. You know what I'm saying? I just want to see it. This rare pattern has appeared 3 times during the cycle, each followed by a significant price surge. A fourth instance may have occurred recently. Between June 6th through 8th, funding rates turned negative while Bitcoin shot to 110,000 from 104,000. Okay? This kind of move suggests the rally may still have legs, especially if short positions continue to get liquidated, a feedback loop that can drive prices even higher. All right. The Bitcoin market may seem quiet at the moment, but that may be the point. The shrinking liquid supply suggests Bitcoin isn't rising on euphoric investor sentiment or volume, but on a growing mismatch between heavy leverage use and real spot demand. In this kind of setup, any forced liquidation or pricing dislocation in derivatives could trigger an explosive move higher. So how many people have ever seen a rubber band that's about like it's all the way to where like the white parts of the rubber band is showing and it's about to snap? How many people have seen that? Have you guys ever seen that? The rubber band about to snap? That's where Bitcoin is right now. Bitcoin is it's got so much kinetic energy behind it. It's on the verge. All it takes is just one thing and it's just gonna snap. Yeah, shout out to Win Lose a Rug. Facts. Win Lose a Rug said that's the definition of a short squeeze. Facts. Super facts. Ancient Bitcoin. See, I told you ancient Bitcoin was a real thing. Y'all didn't believe me. Ancient Bitcoin.
Ancient spirits of evil transform this decayed form to Mumra, the ever-living.
Ancient Bitcoin. Hey, that's hilarious. Yeah. Ancient Bitcoin supply now outpacing newly minted Bitcoin. Fidelity reports. We're going to take a look at this report. What does this mean? This is an actual situation. And this situation gives you the setup to the pathway to $1 million Bitcoin. Okay? The ancient Bitcoin situation sets up the pathway to $1 million Bitcoin. Now, here's the statistics. Over 17% of all Bitcoin has remained untouched for a decade, while 27 public companies hold more than 800,000 Bitcoin combined. And we know that it's more than that because BlackRock and MicroStrategies together hold 1 million. And they're publicly traded. Both of them are. Right? Shout out to BlackRock. I got stock in BlackRock. Buy up everything. Here, I'll give you my money to do it. Buy the world up. And give me my 14%. Since you know what I'm saying? Since people want to be stupid. Fidelity Digital Assets released a new report that reveals that for the first time in history, more Bitcoin is entering ancient supply, which refers to coins that have been unmoved for 10 years or more than are being mined. There's more Bitcoins that have been stationary for the last 10 years than have been mined. What is that pattern? If that pattern continues, what is that going to do to the supply? What does that do to the supply? Fidelity Digital Assets tweeted this. No one pays attention to Fidelity Digital Assets on Twitter. Shout out to Black Free Thinker. What's good with you, bro? Shout out. Don't nobody pay attention to Fidelity Digital Assets on Twitter. That's not the most, exciting thing going on Twitter. So, as of June 8th, 17% of all Bitcoin falls into the category of ancient supply, meaning these coins have not moved in a decade or more. What could this mean for scarcity, market dynamics, and investor conviction? Find out our team's thoughts. All right, so we're actually going to take a look at this report that Fidelity came out with. All right. Yeah, I got to agree with Win, Lose, or Rug. If you guys agree with Win, Lose, or Rug, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. Win, Lose, or Rug said, definitely going to drive FOMO. Facts, especially institutional FOMO. Now, wait until you see the institutional FOMO chart that's later on in this article. The institutional FOMO chart is crazy. And once you see this 3-dimensional chart, you will now visualize the pathway to $1 million Bitcoin. Okay. As of June 8th, an average of 566 Bitcoin per day is crossing the 10-year threshold, while only 450 Bitcoin is being issued daily following the 2024 halving. The share of ancient supply also tends to increase each day. What does that means? That people aren't selling. With daily decreases observed less than 3% of the time. In contrast, that number increases to 13% when the threshold is lowered to Bitcoin holders of 5 or more years. Okay? So what does this say? What this says is don't sell your Bitcoin. Right? That's what that means. Don't sell your Bitcoin. Bitcoin's ancient supply has grown since January 1st of 2019, when Satoshi Nakamoto became the first 10-year holder. Today, over 3.4 million Bitcoin fall into this category, with more than 360 billion. Around 1/3 is believed to belong to Nakamoto. Okay. Despite their rising value, long-term holders are not cashing out. You guys see that? Despite their rising value, long-term holders are not cashing out. Now, let me ask you guys this question. Who are the long-term holders? Who are the long-term holders? Ancient Supply makes up over 17% of all Bitcoin, and that share continues to grow. If the ancient Bitcoin supply is growing, what that means is that it's staying stationary for a total of 10-year periods. Shout out to AB Promotions. AB Promotions said, I've been holding since 2021. I want you guys to pay very close attention. Look at how easy this is. All you got to do is just buy Bitcoin and never touch it. This is the easiest thing in the world, and people can't do it. What does that say about people, man? I just want y'all to sit back and think about that. Like, what does that say about people that they're not capable of doing that? It's so simple. How can you not do that? Since the 2024 halving, the number of coins entering Ancient Supply has consistently outpaced the number of new coins being minted, according to this report. Now, Fidelity came up with this report, right? But I said this in a stream a long time ago, but we got the issue of our people won't make us great. So yet again, here's a situation, right, that we discussed ad nauseum. That was left out in the wind for Fidelity to be able to be made famous for establishing. Shout out to Win Lose a Rug. I'm not mad at it, bro. Win Lose a Rug said, I plan to move into trading Bitcoin futures by next year. The price action is too clean. Bro, it's geometrical. You know what I'm saying? It's geometrical. It's really phenomenal. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Shout out to Carlton Way. All you got to do is buy Bitcoin and forget about it. Now, everybody can remember that they buy Bitcoin, but they don't forget about stupid stuff. Somebody explain that. They don't deserve anything. They don't deserve anything. You know what I'm saying? This shift highlights growing long-term conviction among holders and reflects a broader tightening of Bitcoin's liquid supply. Following the 2024 U.S. election, Ancient Supply declined on 10% of days, which is nearly 4 times higher than the historical average. Movement among the holders was even more pronounced, with daily declines occurring 39% of the time. And that's probably because, like, it was at that point, that was the first time it had hit $100,000, and people were just like, listen, I'm taking some profits. I don't care what y'all say. To better track this trend, Fidelity uses a metric called the Ancient Supply Hold Rate. It measures how many coins are entering the 10-year category each day, adjusted for new issuance. This rate turned positive in April of 2024 and has remained that way, reinforcing the long-term supply shift. Now, the narrative of this ancient Bitcoin situation, right? How does this tie into the supply constraint? How does this tie into the supply constraint? Looking ahead, Fidelity Digital Assets projections that Ancient Supply could reach 20% of total Bitcoin by 2028 and 25% by 2034. If public companies holding at least 1,000 Bitcoin are included, it could reach 30% by 2035. Between 2028 and 2035, that's where you get your $1 million Bitcoin. Those market dynamics, those supply demand geometries, that right there That is where you get your $1 million Bitcoin. Okay? If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. In addition, because Bitcoin's supply schedule is fixed, it is possible to make hypothetical projections on when its ancient Bitcoin supply will hit certain milestones. For instance, Bitcoin's ancient supply is anticipated to accumulate 20% of issued supply by 2028 and 25% by 2034. Now, what we need to do is figure out what these percentages of ancient Bitcoin, how these affect price action. Moreover, if public companies that have acquired 1,000 or more Bitcoin as of June 8th of 2025 are included, ancient supply could potentially reach 30% by 2035. That's where Kathy Woods gets that $1 million Bitcoin. Now, look at this. Look at this 3D graph down here. Okay? These are public companies with 1,000 plus Bitcoin. Look at the growing amount of public companies with 1,000 plus Bitcoin. And I mean, people still just say, it's still shaking their head like this is something novel. This is, it's just the, I don't know what to say. Like, it's just wild to me. As of June 8th, 27 public companies hold more than 800,000 Bitcoin combined, according to the report. This growing institutional presence may further tighten supply and increase the influence of long-term holders over time. Okay? Yeah. I mean, you have all of this evidence. You know what I'm saying? You got all of this evidence, and people still just ignore the evidence. Like, it's so bizarre, man. I've never seen anything like it. Bitcoin supply squeeze intensifies as ancient holders eclipse newly mined Bitcoin. The people that hold Bitcoin understand the mission. If you guys would agree, the people that hold Bitcoin understand the mission, give me a thumbs up. If you don't agree and you don't think that the people that hold Bitcoin understand the mission, then give me a thumbs down. Yeah. Shout out to Black Free Thinker. 3.8% of all the Bitcoin that will ever be mined. This is why these companies are buying it up so aggressively. Shout out to Carlton. Carlton said it's like we're in a simulation. I'm convinced. I'm convinced we're in a simulation, and most people are NPCs. I'm convinced of this. I'm hardcore convinced of this. You know what I'm saying? But now, again, we got to talk about the supply squeeze, right? Let me ask you guys this question. Is this going to make getting Bitcoin easier, or is it going to make it more difficult? Right. Facts. Shout out to DJ Elmo. DJ Elmo said it's not bizarre because it's called cognitive dissonance. The same way most took that juice and rolled up their sleeves. Facts. Facts. And shout out to everybody watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed the like button yet, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell. And also, please share the stream to your social media. The ancient Bitcoin cohort is growing faster than the amount of coins mined. And with institutional flows accelerating, the path to 1 million Bitcoin is starting to take shape. People really need, hey, I don't care what people do, man. I know what I'm about to do. I don't care what people do. Matter of fact, people need to just not buy any Bitcoin so I can buy more. You know what I'm saying? Just sit this one out. sit this one out. We'll buy all the Bitcoin, right? We'll buy as much Bitcoin as we could get. You know what I'm saying? The number of Bitcoin held for over 10 years is increasing faster than new coins mined. 550 Bitcoin per day versus 450 issued Bitcoin per day. What this means is that people aren't letting it go. We talked about this. We talked about this ratio. I didn't call it ancient Bitcoin, but I called it. It was a ratio. And this is what I was saying about how micro strategies, them by themselves are changing the supply side dynamic, and they could, in theory, slow down the mining and actually reissue their Bitcoin at premium. Remember I talked about that? Now, again, I know, what I'm saying, like, people got to wait for another YouTuber to say it and make that person famous. You know what I'm saying? But we said that long time ago. We said that long time ago. Now all of this is coming to fruition. It's all coming to fruition. 17% of Bitcoin is already considered illiquid, and projections suggest up to 30% by 2026. All right. Fidelity Digital Assets released a report highlighting a pivotal shift in Bitcoin's supply dynamics after the 2024 halving. The report noted that the ancient Bitcoin supply, which is coins held for 10 years or more, has started to outpace new issuance, with 550 Bitcoin entering the ancient supply category daily, compared with 450 Bitcoin issued. So what is that again? What is that doing to the Bitcoin availability? These, when for the most part, it's almost safe to say that once Bitcoin goes into ancient supply, for all intents and purposes, those Bitcoin are burned. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. For all intents and purposes, when Bitcoin becomes ancient, it's effectively burned. When MicroStrategies buys Bitcoin, it's effectively burned. When BlackRock buys Bitcoin for their ETF, it's effectively burned. What's that going to do to supply? What's that going to do to demand? What's that going to do to the price? I mean, again, like, it's just the same questions every day, same questions. And it's like, I'm saying, like, people still don't get it. It's bizarre. I don't understand. It's so simple. This is basic economics. This is the same as a drought. Back in the day when you had to find a weed man to buy weed, and when it wasn't a lot of weed, you paying loud prices for Reggie. It's the same thing. You know what I'm saying? This trend, coupled with steady purchasing from institutional investors, which we're going to get to, raises a compelling question. Could this increasing demand send Bitcoin's price to $1 million? And what's so crazy about it, bro, is that when Bitcoin's price gets to $1 million, the very people who didn't buy it when it wasn't $1 million will then use $1 million as the excuse to still not get any. It's too much. It costs too much. It's I don't even know what do you call this? What do you call this? I don't know what to say. The convergence of Bitcoin accumulation and scarcity. The current Bitcoin ancient supply is over 17% of the total issuance. 3.4 million Bitcoin valued at $360 billion at $107,000. This reflects strong holder conviction, with daily decreases occurring less than 3% at a time. We got this from that last article. The report projects the share could reach 20% by 2028 and 25% by 2034, tightening available supply. So this supply side tightening, that's going to be the catalyst that causes those God candles. That's going to be the catalyst that causes those Omega candles. This is that situation. All these situations are creating the charts that Samson Mao has been talking about. These are creating the charts that Arthur Hayes has been talking about. Okay. These dynamics right here. Okay. At the same time, institutional investor capital is accelerating. According to Bitwise, Bitcoin inflows are expected to reach 120 billion by 2025 and 300 billion by 2026 in its base case scenario. Now, let me ask you guys this question. What is the market cap that's necessary for Bitcoin to equal $1 million per token? What's the necessary market cap? Diverse participants drive this. Nation states potentially reallocating 5% of gold reserves, 161.7 billion or 7.7% of supply. Now, the 7.7% of supply is important, right? I'm gonna tell you why. We're gonna skip something real quick. I'm gonna show you a headline, and then we're gonna come right back to it. All right. The 7.7% of supply is important because there's this Spanish investment firm called BBVA that's telling its wealthy clients to invest 7% into Bitcoin. Spain's second largest bank is now actively advising private banking clients to allocate 7% of their portfolios into Bitcoin. Why? This is the same as institutional Bitcoinization. This is dark Bitcoinization. This is what we've been talking about. I don't understand. What do people not get about this? It's not a game. It's not a joke. It's not a narrative. You know what I'm saying? It's something that's actually happening. It's not funny. It's not a competition. You know what I'm saying? I'm not out here trying to convince anybody to buy Bitcoin. I don't care if people buy it or not. The more for me. You know what I'm saying? We're already convinced. This ain't a sales pitch. You know what I'm saying? How many people would agree? This is not a sales pitch. We don't care whether people like Bitcoin or not. We don't care if you don't buy it or not. This ain't an invitation. No one's inviting you to our world. You know what I'm saying? Let's get that clear. Let's just put that out there. Let's just make sure that that's understood. We don't care about how you feel about Bitcoin. We don't care about you at all. The people in this chat are waiting for our Bitcoin to go to $1 million. And the same way people watching the Pacers versus OKC, that's the way we watching Bitcoin. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. We're not out here trying to make believers. We don't care. I don't care if you believe or not. It doesn't matter. It's not a competition. We in here minding our Bitcoin business. Right? Right? We in here minding our Bitcoin business. And it actually is business. You know what I'm saying? Diverse participants drive this. Nation states potentially reallocating 5% of gold reserves, 161.7 billion or 7.7% of supply. U.S. states adopting at 30%, 19.6 billion. Wealth management platforms allocating 0.5%, which would be 300 billion. And public companies doubling holdings, which would make 117.8 billion. In a bull case, inflows could exceed $426 billion, absorbing over 4 million Bitcoin, 19% of supply, further tightening liquidity, which again, if all of these companies are able to reach their Bitcoin goals, then this is exactly what's going to happen. This is imminent. Right? This is imminent. Like this is what's going to happen. This institutional accumulation alongside ancient supply growth suggests a scenario where a significant portion of Bitcoin supply becomes illiquid, potentially amplifying analyst price targets due to increasing demand. Yeah, like I said, it's essentially burning the Bitcoin. Reaching $1 million per Bitcoin requires a market capitalization of $21 trillion. Now, see how it's $21 trillion? This is what Bitcoin was programmed for. But Bitcoin was programmed for more than this. Bitcoin is programmed for Satoshis to go to $1 million. These are just phases right here. This is the first phase. You know what I'm saying? Reaching what now? It's not going to take long for Bitcoin to hit $21 trillion market cap. It seems like a lot of money because people in here have never seen money. People in here have never seen $21 trillion. You're talking about giant companies all over the world that have more money than people could imagine. This is easy. A tenfold increase from the current 2.1 trillion with 19,888,604 Bitcoin mined, or 94.6%, 94.66% of the 21 million total. Okay. Now, here goes the thing, right? A tenfold increase. So that's multiplying it times 10. That's a 10x. We've seen Bitcoin 10x already. So it's not like this is not something that can't be done. You know what I'm saying? The fixed supply and growing liquidity could facilitate Bitcoin's next significant milestone. Historical trends after the halving events 2013, 17, and 2021 exhibit rallies driven by reduced supply growth and rising demand, supporting the thesis that current dynamics could lead to a similar outcome. The impact of the ancient supply is evident. With 17% of the supply illiquid and projected to grow, the liquid supply diminishes. If institutional investors continue accumulating, 30% of the supply could become illiquid by 2026. However, certain challenges still exist. After the 2024 U.S. election, ancient supply has declined on 10% of days, nearly 4 times the historical average, indicating even long-term holders can sell during volatility. Similarly, 5-year holder supply decreased 39% of days post-election, 3 times the typical rate, correlating with sideways price action in Q1 of 2025. Okay? This suggests that while illiquidity trends are strong, market conditions can trigger supply increases, potentially moderating price application. However, Bitwise noted 35 billion in sideline demand in 2024 due to risk-averse policies at Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs, which manage 60 trillion in client assets. Its bear case projects over 150 billion in inflows, while the bull case exceeds 426 billion, absorbing 4,269,000 Bitcoin, underscoring significant demand potential. Thus, Bitcoin's ancient supply and projected institutional inflows form a narrative of increasing scarcity. While reaching 1 million is a mighty target, the current trajectories suggest that it is a realistic price target. It's a realistic price target based on math, not opinion. Okay? Now, we're gonna talk about some other stuff real quick, and I might do another stream tomorrow. Let me see. I might do another stream tomorrow. Hold on real quick. We're gonna Just want to see something here. All right, yeah. So what we're about to do is we're going to take a look at this. BBVA tells wealthy clients to invest up to 7% in Bitcoin. Why? Why is this investment company advising their clients to invest 7% into Bitcoin? Advising the wealthy clients. See, it's not telling the stupid poor clients to invest up to 7% in Bitcoin because it knows that they're stupid and they're not going to listen. They're just there to spend money. It's telling the wealthy clients to invest 7% in Bitcoin. Notice how these banks only tell poor clients how to spend their money. They make things easier for you to spend. They make products to put you in debt. Does anybody notice that? That's because people have shown that they'll fall for it because they're stupid. And also because this is the situation that they want. They want this situation. They want to be poor. They want to be broke. They want to die broken and used. So that's what they get. This is what the wealthy people are doing. Wealthy clients are investing up to 7% in Bitcoin. Shout out to DJ Elmo. DJ Elmo said consumerism is a serious addiction. Yeah. Yeah. I did a video on the other channel on BLR2 about people being prisoners to consumerism. Sadly, I think people's brains melted. I don't know if that's sadly or not. I don't know if I care. I don't know if I care. The verdict's still out. You know what I'm saying? Spanish bank BBVA is now advising its wealthy clients to invest up to 7% of their portfolios in crypto and Bitcoin, showing how traditional banks are starting to see the potential of Bitcoin. They always have seen it because they've been buying it. Now, people will say this is a Bitcoin slanted media outlet, yada, yada, yada. The same nonsense that people say. So we're going to show the Reuters article real quick. Okay. We're going to show the Reuters article real quick, and then we'll get back to it. There it is right there. Now, you see, Reuters used to didn't charge anything, but now they do. Spanish bank BVA tells wealthy clients to invest in Bitcoin. Doesn't tell the poor people to invest in Bitcoin because poor people are stupid and they bring the value of everything down. So they tell the wealthy people to invest in it to keep the value high. Why do poor people bring the value of everything down? Poor people bring the value of everything down because they can't afford everything. So you got to decrease the price for them to be able to purchase it. You got to make it more liquid. If you got wealthy people buying stuff, there's no limit on what they can afford, which means that the price can go up infinitely. It's the last thing you need is a bunch of broke people buying a bunch of Bitcoin and dragging the price down. Spanish bank BBVA is now advising its wealthy clients to invest up to 7% of their portfolios in crypto and Bitcoin, showing how traditional banks are starting to see the potential of Bitcoin. Now, if it took banks and it took financial institutions this long to see the benefit of Bitcoin, you can just call it a day for regular people. Right. Would you guys agree? If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to B1 First Is. B1 First Is says, does potential war affect Bitcoin? Potential war affects every single thing on the planet. Right? Now, here goes the thing. They just announced that there was tensions between Iran and Israel, and there's been a fight, and Trump was talking about assassinating, the president of Iran, and Bitcoin is still over $100,000. And any economic anything is affected by war. Bitcoin is affected by war. Somebody could bomb a Bitcoin mining facility. Like, anything is affected by war. Everything is affected by war. Somebody could not touch any Bitcoin mining facilities and drop nukes all over the planet, and then there's no humans to spend the Bitcoin. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like all kind of different scenarios. You know what I'm saying? Now, here goes my question. How many wars have we had as far as the United States over the last couple years? When we've had wars over the last couple years, silver, gold, and Bitcoin have increased in price. Other assets have decreased in price. Shout out to B1 First Is. B1 First Is says, I guess being too clear, will a potential war raise Bitcoin, pull it up? It could, for the same reason that it pulls gold up. Gold is at a 33% high right now. It's $3,300 per ounce, because in times of economic uncertainty, intelligent investors put their money in assets that they see as not risky or commodities. Right? So a potential war could do or not do, it could do or not do anything, right? It could just stay flat, but even staying flat is better than losing money. Well, there's way more positive effect than just like Bitcoin's behavior during economic uncertainty. But you know what I'm saying? Like, sure, we'll say that that's the positive effect. You know what I'm saying? There's so much more than that. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like, there is a ridiculous amount of positive things that Bitcoin does besides, maintain its value during war. Yeah. Shout out to Win Loser Rug. Win Loser Rug said Bitcoin can act as a hedge against an overinflated dollar. Bitcoin also drives efficient energy, right? Because as the difficulty adjustment on the program occurs, it requires more electricity and more computing power to mine. So companies like NVIDIA and companies like OpenAI are going to be able to innovate faster, better, and more efficient superconductors and microchips to be able to meet that increasing electrical and computer processing hash rate demand. It's so multifaceted. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Cameron. What's good with it, bro? Like, is anybody paying attention to what's going on with the US dollar? No one is running to the US dollar. That should be the immediate thing that anybody says in a discussion about Bitcoin. No one's running to the American dollar globally. Everyone is running away from it, right? Show me where people are running away from Bitcoin. Right. Shout out to Win Loser Rug. Ask them how many Bitcoin it costs to buy a home compared to dollars over the last decade. When it comes to holding Bitcoin, the amount of Bitcoin required to buy a home decreases over time. The amount of dollars required to buy a home increases over time. You know what I'm saying? Like, shout out to B1 First. B1 First says something is askew. Yeah, something is askew. What's askew is that people are being exposed. People are being exposed for lying about what they want. People don't want to improve their wealth. People don't want to become economically independent. None of that. It's all a lie. It's all nonsense. B1 first says, can Bitcoin compete with BRICS? Here's my question. How would Bitcoin compete with BRICS? How would they? What? I don't understand how that would be a competition. That's like saying, can the Cleveland Browns compete with the with the Chicago Bulls? In what? How would that work? Shout out to DJ Elmo. DJ Elmo says, would you describe oil as a giffen good? Example, prices go up, demand goes up because there's no viable alternative. Yeah. As a matter of fact, they've been talking about $100 barrels of gold like right now. But I'm always confused by, like, when people ask these kind of questions, can Bitcoin compete with BRICS? In what way would Bitcoin compete with BRICS? I don't know. I don't know how would that work. I just don't know how it. I just don't know. When people ask that question, I don't understand the question because they're not in competition. Russia, China, all those different countries, they all use Bitcoin. You know what I'm saying? Like a Russian firm just announced that they're allocating XYZ amount of money into Bitcoin. I don't understand how. I don't understand the BRICS versus Bitcoin thing. I don't get it. People asked that question before. I don't know where that comes from, but I don't understand, like, how. I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says, with private consumer or with private customers since last year, we've started advising on Bitcoin, said Felipe Meyer, head of digital and blockchain solutions at BBVA Switzerland during the Digi Assets conference in London. The riskier profile, we allow up to 7% of portfolios in crypto. All right. Now, BlackRock advised 2%. Yeah, take your time, bro. BlackRock advised 2% allocation. All right. The bank's private wealth division is currently recommending clients to allocate 3 to 7% of their portfolio to Bitcoin and crypto, depending on their individual appetite. While many private banks have offered to execute Bitcoin or crypto trades upon request, it remains rare for a global financial institution to formally advise clients to buy. BBVA is currently recommending allocations specifically in Bitcoin, not in IBIT ETF, in Bitcoin. Because JP Morgan Chase is accepting that IBIT ETF. You know what I'm saying? Meyer emphasized that even a modest allocation to Bitcoin can have a meaningful impact on portfolio returns. If you look at a balanced portfolio, if you introduce 3%, you already boost the performance, he said. At 3%, you are not taking a huge risk. BBVA began executing Bitcoin purchases for its clients in 2021, but Meyer says this is the first time it is formally advising allocations. In June of 2021, the bank launched Bitcoin trading and custody services through its Swiss subsidiary for private clients. With this innovative offer, BBVA positions itself as a benchmark institution in the adoption of blockchain technology, said BBVA Switzerland CEO Alfonso Gomez at the time. BBVA's interest in digital currency goes back even further. As early as 2015, the bank made it clear that it viewed Bitcoin and blockchain technology as more than just a passing trend. In a statement that now seems increasingly prescient, BBVA said institutions that understand Bitcoin and digital currencies will lead the new monetary system, highlighting its belief that early adopters would gain a strategic advantage. Shout out to Black Free Thinker. Black Free Thinker says, makes no sense to me because BRICS has no plan to issue its own currency. Here's my thing. BRICS is an economic bloc. It's an economic bloc, the same as NATO. I don't understand what that would have, like, unless they're using Bitcoin to transact, which they do, because everyone uses Bitcoin to transact. I don't understand. I don't understand how, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just something there to be used. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I'm gonna let the comment section answer this question for B1 first. B1 first said, thinking out loud, maybe because Bitcoin to take over the US dollar as new mint, the cost for one coin already outperforms the US dollar. Folks been buying still. I'm gonna let y'all answer that. Look, this bank is literally telling wealthy clients to invest up to 7% in Bitcoin. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says, this early support set BBVA apart from many of its peers, as a few major banks were willing to publicly engage with Bitcoin at the time. What began as interest in blockchain technology has turned into direct investment guidance, now culminating in BBVA formally advising wealthy clients to allocate 7% of their portfolios into Bitcoin, a clear sign that the bank sees it as a long-term part of its future. Some people see it, you know what I'm saying? Some people don't. Look at this. So we're gonna talk about these. Maybe if I decide to do another stream. You know what I'm saying? Well, the reason why wealthy investors are buying it now is because the poor investors didn't buy it when it was poor people prices. And it's been poor people prices since 2017. It's been poor people prices since like 2008. You know what I'm saying? And poor people chose not to buy it when it was $1, when it was $10, when it was $100, when it was $1,000. So now that it's $100,000, yeah, now wealthy people are buying it. You know what I'm saying? But that's because poor people ignored it. You know what I'm saying? So poor people getting what they get. Shout out to Black Free Thinker. Black Free Thinker said, I say that due to its inherent scarcity, that Bitcoin will compete with precious metals rather than any particular fiat currency. Yeah. Yeah. Bitcoin is definitely coming for the gold market cap. Now, let's look at who's buying. We're going to flip through this real quick. Blockchain Group buys $20 million worth of Bitcoin. Look at this. Now, we know who the Blockchain Group is. K33 plans to announces plans to purchase up to 1,000 Bitcoin. How much money is 1,000 Bitcoin? Now, you know MicroStrategy's buying some more, right? GameStop joins $50 billion institutional surge into Bitcoin as treasury asset. People sat around and let that happen. You know what I'm saying? People sat around and let that happen. B1 first says precious metals. Bitcoin is internet dough. Is it? Is that what Bitcoin is? Folk have actual tangible Bitcoins. Yeah. Yeah. Like the machinery that goes into mining Bitcoin is what you buy when you buy Bitcoin. Yeah. Bitcoin is the strongest computer system in the entire world. How do you think that Bitcoin gets produced? You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I be wondering, man, like what it's just bizarre. Look at this. Look at this. Hold on real quick. Yeah, there we go. Bitcoin gold stocks is the best portfolio to fight inflation. Billionaire Paul Tudor Jones says. You got all like I'm not look, man, I'm not trying to, you know what I'm saying? Me personally, I'm gonna listen to what billionaires who have billions of dollars say about investment more than people that have never reached $100,000. You know what I'm saying? BlackRock, Larry Fink, Michael Saylor, MicroStrategies, and I've been saying this stuff for years, but again, you know how I go. It don't matter. It does not matter. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Win Lose the Rug. Win Lose the Rug said you can't carry those precious metals in an emergency. Facts. And those precious metals, the price has been manipulated by a lot of different banks like JP Morgan Chase. I don't understand. Somebody explain to me the bizarre false equivalencies of the Bitcoin comparisons. I mean, I don't it doesn't make sense. Stocks are internet money. You know what I'm saying? Credit cards are internet money. Money is internet money. You know what I'm saying? Like it is. I don't understand the logic. Like people say Bitcoin is fake money. Let's just say that that's true, even though it's not. Let's just say that it's true. So is actual money. When the Fed decides to print money, what is that money backed by? There's a fixed supply of assets that the United States has that it spreads all of the paper money across the value of. So when it prints more money than the assets that it has, what justifies that money printing? Shout out to Carlton. Carlton says, I think if Bitcoin were a literal coin formed like a penny, regular people would understand it more. I don't think that they would. I don't think that they would. And the reason why is because people purposely reject Bitcoin so they can have a reason of why they're broke in 10 to 15 years. You know what I'm saying? So they can have something to complain about. People don't even understand pennies. They don't even understand regular money. They don't understand the regular money. Here's the thing. Have people utilized dollars, pennies, nickels? Have they utilized those to make wealth for themselves? No. They can't even use the basic money financial system that's been around forever. They definitely not going to be able to use the technology-based one because it's technology. These are the same people that were saying computers was going to blow up because of Y2K. You know what I'm saying? a digit in computer programming is going to blow up the world. Like you cannot make this up. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Black Free Thinker. That's facts. Black Free Thinker said they would never make you great because you are not in these internet streets slinging victim BS, blame, and hopium. Facts. Shout out to Win Lose a Rug. That broke mob mentality. $1 trillion market cap. Bro, right. But it's fake money. Somebody make it make sense. And the thing is also, it's not, people aren't supposed to understand. People have to have a minimum level of competency. And if you're not minimally competent to figure these things out, then you get left behind. People would do a lot better in school if they just took math out. Guess what? Unfortunately, you can't do that. You know what I'm saying? So some people just fail because they can't do math. You know what I'm saying? That's just the reality of things. This is the test This is the test of who is capable of evolution versus who's not. And people are exposing themselves on who is capable of evolving. The majority of people are not. It's not. Let me ask y'all this question. Is it anybody else's responsibility to spoon feed you wealth? That's my question. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Brooklyn Queen said all these questions can be answered by reading the Bitcoin white paper. Yeah, that's facts. Shout out to Black Free Thinker. Black Free Thinker said Chris Jericho blew up because of Y2J, though. That's hilarious. Chris Jericho. That's old school. Shout out to AB Promotions. AB Promotions said, I understand 21 million. That's all I need to understand. Yeah, man. Dollar collapse is imminent. Inflation is imminent. Unemployment is imminent. Look at this. Hold on real quick. And again, like I said, you know, our streams, what we do as far as talking about Bitcoin, we not here to convince anybody to buy Bitcoin. It's not that kind of party over here. We're not trying to save the world over here. We don't give we don't care. You know what I'm saying? Hold on real quick. So yeah, we talked about Walmart expanding those drone deliveries. You got people out here who don't believe. You know what I'm saying? They don't believe in artificial intelligence. Look at this. In Colorado, City of Boulder freezes hiring for vacant positions amid potential budget shortfall. So you got that happening. These places ain't meeting their budget. Didn't Chicago just have like $1 billion budget to deal with? Now you got this other city in Ohio, Springfield, right? You guys remember Springfield? This Springfield area city is about to be one of the first cities to go broke. Look. Could Area Township be the first in Ohio history to go bankrupt? 9 things to know. Look at this. You got whole towns, whole cities about to go bankrupt. You know what I'm saying? All these companies eliminating jobs. I don't know, man. I don't know. There's a reason why all of these places are telling these people is the reason why these places are telling rich people to go into a particular asset class to protect their wealth. And again, I want you guys, poor people cannot wrap their minds around this stuff. Like they truly don't get it. Like it's like speaking a different language. They just don't get it. You know what I'm saying? Protect yourself from inflation. You mean put my money in a lead box? Yeah. Conversation over. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Black Free Thinker. Black Free Thinker said, when money's not circulating, there's no economy. Now, and what it is also when people just want to believe a certain thing, they're just going to want to believe it, and it doesn't matter what the facts say. We've seen that multiple times. I think that I've done a sufficient job of proving that, you know what I'm saying, to people. The reality is that amongst our peers, a large majority of people are in a state of denial. Which, I mean, it is what it is. That's their prerogative. That's what they want to do. But it should be acknowledged that that's what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Oh, it's a bunch of people out here in denial. Okay, all right. They're in denial. Okay, well, now that we understand that these people are in denial, let's move on. You know what I'm saying? Let's move on. Now, I got to pull this back up. Look at this. Hold on. I'm about to bring this this little screenshot back up. Look at this. All right, so we're gonna take a look at this screenshot. We got to look at this one. Since June 2018, Bitcoin has returned 42,716.7%. The NASDAQ composite has returned 284.1%. The S&P 500 has returned 184.7%. Here's my question for everybody in the comment section. How do you deny this evidence? Yeah, shout out to Black B1 first. Yeah, Bitcoin can save the economy. I don't know if it can necessarily save the economy. I don't know about that. I wouldn't go as far as to say all that. But what it can do is it can do a adequate job at protecting people's purchasing power. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't go as far as to say that Bitcoin can save the economy. I don't know if there's anything that can quote unquote save an economy. But I will say that I believe that Bitcoin can help maintain your purchasing power. You know what I'm saying? I don't necessarily believe that the economy needs to or should be saved either. If the economy collapses, I believe that's what's supposed to happen. I don't think that the economy necessarily needs to be saved. Here's my question. Why would anybody want to save the economy? Shout out to Black Free Thinker. A Black Free Thinker said, folks, you'll be pleased to know that Bitcoin is AGI proof. That's hilarious. Bitcoin is AGI proof. Ain't no artificial general intelligence here. You know what I'm saying? Bro, that's hilarious. Shout out to AB. Let's move on. Yeah, shout out to Brooklyn Queen to keep the working poor away from us. Facts. Shout out to Cameron. Save yourself, not the economy. Facts. I agree 100%. If you guys agree with Cameron, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to Black Free Thinker. Black Free Thinker says it can't save the economy, but it'll preserve your ass. Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. This is the reason. This is the reason for this article right here. I was actually about to get going, but let's take a look at this real quick. Shout out to watching. I appreciate you guys. If y'all haven't smashed the like button, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell, and also please share the stream to your social media. All right. Bitcoin, gold, and stocks is the best portfolio to fight inflation. Billionaire Paul Tudor Jones says. Now, he's not the only one that said this. I said this a long time ago. Shout out to Carlton, right? when we were talking about Ukraine way back in the day, long time ago, before red pill content creators and idiots turned geopolitics into the joke of YouTube, right? We said that, right? Shout out to Black Free Thinker. Black Free Thinker said, in other words, what's coming with AGI won't hurt you as much, if any, if your Bitcoin wallet is straight. Right. Right. Now, listen, I want to say what, in 2017? In 2017 or maybe 2016, 2017, $100 would have bought you a tenth of a Bitcoin. 2017, $100 would have bought you a tenth of a Bitcoin. That's $10,000 today. It's $10,000 today. $100 would have bought you a tenth back then. You know what I'm saying? Paul Tudor Jones on Wednesday emphasized that United States is on a long-term trajectory of high budget deficits and constrained fiscal space. And the best investment strategy to withstand this environment centers around a diversified portfolio made up of Bitcoin, gold, and equities. Let me ask you guys this question. What's when all of this hyperinflation and dollar devaluation, when all this stuff occurs, what happens then? You know, the businesses will get bailed out. Let me ask you guys this question. When the last time you seen a consumer bail out? When is the last time anybody has seen a consumer bail out? Shout out to Black Free Thinker. You already know, to be one first. Embrace villainy. Facts. Peace. That's what we do. Paul Tudor Jones on Wednesday emphasized this. Again, it's like I said, it's the same stream all the time. What would an ideal portfolio be in something like that? Jones said in an interview with Bloomberg. Okay. Look, what has worked so far has been some combination of stocks, probably gold, volatility adjusted Bitcoin gold stocks. That's probably your best portfolio to fight inflation volatility adjusted. Jones explained that the allocation should reflect each asset's risk profile, especially Bitcoin's volatility. Now, I told you how I look at Bitcoin, right? People buy ETFs tracking the Bitcoin price. I look at Bitcoin like it's an ETF of global financial collapse. Yeah. Oh, trust me. Facts. I know people like that. You know what I'm saying? Black Free Thinker said, believe me, there are people who are still working their jobs with 10 to 20 Bitcoin in their ledgers, indifferent about their pensions and 401ks. Facts. Yeah. Super facts. Super facts, bro. The volatility of Bitcoin is obviously 5 times that of gold, he said, adding that the construction of the portfolio must take that into account. The comments were made in the context of a broader discussion about the U.S. fiscal outlook, where Jones argued that continued deficit spending, normalized under successive administrations, makes it highly likely that future policymakers will opt for monetary policy measures that suppress real interest rates. What does this mean? What does this mean, ladies and gentlemen? What's this mean? We are fiscally constrained, and we're going to have a budget deficit of 6% plus as far as the eye can see, Jones said. One of the major offsets, if I was the president, would be to lower my interest rate costs by appointing a Fed chair who is as dovish as could possibly be. He added that running negative real rates is historically consistent with how governments have dealt with high debt burdens. That's the playbook when you're 100% debt to GDP and you're fiscally constrained, he said. You can see it happening in Japan right now. As such, Jones says he expects U.S. interest rates to fall significantly within the past 12 months. Let me ask you guys this question. What happens when U.S. interest rates fall in the next 12 months? What's going to happen to prices of assets? "12 months from now, rates are going to drop precipitously with a new Fed chair," he said, referencing Donald Trump's statements advocating a 100 basis point cut. The fund manager argued that this anticipated policy environment, low real interest rates, inflation running above target, and a continued deficit expansion makes traditional fixed income unattractive. Instead, assets with a historical track record of holding value during inflationary periods becomes more compelling. Well, that sounds like Bitcoin and that sounds like gold, right? That sounds like Bitcoin and that sounds like gold, right? Jones reiterated his past support for Bitcoin, which he first publicly backed in 2020 as a hedge against inflation. If I'm a policymaker, I'm going to run really low rates. I'm going to have inflation running hot, and I'm going to tax the American consumer. So you know what that is probably going to mean, right? Comparing this to Japan's current economic strategy, Jones noted that's exactly what Japan, who's the most fiscally constrained in the world, is doing. And it works until the population throws you out because you let inflation get too hot. Now, let me ask you guys this question. Do you all think that that'll happen in the United States, that people will throw the United States out because inflation gets too hot? Me personally, right? I don't have enough faith in the American population to even be aware of that even happening. I don't think that most people are even aware. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that most people have enough common sense to even know that. So I think if this were to happen in the United States, it would take a lot. While stocks, in his view, won't do great, in the event of a sharp fiscal reckoning or bond market shock, Jones still includes equities in his inflation hedge mix, albeit with caution. The biggest threat to the stock market, what just happened there? Okay, there we go. The biggest threat to the stock market has been our fiscal profligacy, something like the big beautiful bill, he said, alluding to the cumulative impact of aggressive spending proposals. Okay. So yeah, man, I think that was again, Robert Kiyosaki and this guy here, what's this guy's name? Paul Tudor Jones. All these people, they're saying the same things. Shout out to Win, Lose, or Rug. Yeah, it sounded a lot like Bitcoin. Bro, facts. You know what I'm saying? So, we'll see. Right? But here we've already seen also. Right? We've already seen. But I don't know. I don't know what to say. You know what I'm saying? I do not know what to say. So shout out to everybody who came through, man. I appreciate you guys. I want to shout out the stream sponsors. Make sure y'all show these people some love. Shout out to my man, John Guillory. I appreciate you, bro, for 25 months of support. Definitely appreciate you. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen for 22 months of support. I definitely appreciate you. And shout out to everybody who came through to the chat. I appreciate y'all. We may possibly do another stream tomorrow and talk about some more stuff. Just the Bitcoin accumulation is going wild. More places are firing people. More companies are closing down. We're going to talk about that. Like I said, if y'all see any videos or, any articles or anything like that that's talking about these businesses and all that stuff going away, you know what I'm saying? Let me know. Throw them to me in the chat. And I'm trying, and we're going to deal with that. I want to know what people think about all these businesses closing. Who's supposed to give you whose responsibility is it to keep you employed? You know what I'm saying? Whose responsibility is it to keep somebody employed? You know what I'm saying? We're going to talk about that too. You know what I'm saying? So, as always, ladies and gentlemen,
yeah, hey, okay, I'm fresh up out the package. Time I did, I pay my dues, affiliated to this paper. I need freedom for my family line. Draw my life design up like fine art. I'm jumping out just an unfamiliar coordinates. Hopped off the porch like I could touch the sky. Red is not one trillip. The ism talk the water out your faucet. Look at me flossing, I'm so wavy, I could change the tide. My intuition sense the hatred in your ways. You imitated, forging lines, claim meaning means that's just to justify. Yeah, right. West side, born maritime. Creole baby, my bloodline. My lungs clouded, my thoughts crowded. Say all I see is these dollar signs. Finna make a play and that sound delay. On mamas, I testify. Run for it. Run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing. Looking for the funds. Run for it. Run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing. Looking for the funds. Run for it. Run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing. Looking for the funds. Run for it. Run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing. Looking for the funds. Game recognized game. I'm from the Bay, okay. I'm versatile and my slang is different. I'm lane switching with the same people that I came up in this thing with. My head swivel, I'm homebound. Got a target back on my backside. The cat peeling with the cast iron. Better run for it. Run before I catch you. Niggas out ball it, block it. Trying to stop my blessing. Gamble with your life. Don't bet it, don't bet it. They can't stop my blessing. You do best not to test it. Yeah, you right. Real all in my blessed supply. Dig ball up top, finna make a play. I cast a lob like I'm Jalen, baby. No co-signing, no co-pilot. They pen pals, my flow designer. My brain signal out of range with it. My palm mission, it's a dollar sign. If I say it twice and I meant it right.
My brain signal out of range with it. My palm mission, it's a dollar sign. You know, co-signing, no co-pilot. They pip-tiles, my flow designer. My brain signal out of range with it. My palm mission, it's a dollar sign.
Run for it. Run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing. Looking for the funds. Run for it. Run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing. Looking for the funds. Run for it. Run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing. Looking for the funds. Run for it. Run for it, run. I'm out here paper chasing.
Looking for the funds.